We're live, yay! So, hi everyone, and I'm really glad to be here. I didn't realize this was the first time all year that I've been on Instagram Live and creating more information for everybody on Facebook and YouTube, and I'm glad to be here. I've been absent because I became a grandmother, or as my daughter would say, she calls me, I can't really say it that well, grandma. I'm grandma. It has like a W on the end, grandma, which is fun because my kids have called me ma for a long time. So to be grandma is pretty fun. It'll be interesting when my grandson says whatever he says. He's going to call me whatever he calls me, and I'm going to be fine with it. But I'm really glad to be back here. And this topic, the first thing I want to do is tell you why I named it critical receptivity. So you're not expecting something that isn't going to happen here. So I'll do that. And then I'm going to give you the framework of why receptivity is critical, and how just simple guidance on how to be receptive and how to, you could say, do receptive. So there's being receptive, and then, so what do you do? What do you say? How do you interact with someone giving to you? So I'll address both of those. And then thank you to all of you who submitted questions. I really appreciate it. I definitely design what I'm doing with your questions in mind, and they shape what I end up talking about here. So thank you for that. Even the ones that I'm not going to talk about. And I'll just let you know, so you're not hanging on my every word, listening for, is this the answer to my question? Is this the answer to my question? Because that'll prevent you from learning a lot. It'll filter everything else out, honestly. I'd recommend actually you listen with the question in your mind, where do I see this? Where else do I see this? Where else do I see this? Because providing and receiving is everywhere. And the more we're aware of it and what it needs, the more that we can encourage this beautiful part of being human beings in any kind of relationship with each other. And then there's some questions I'm not going to address because they don't really have to do with this. So let me talk about those first, and then I can address the ones that really do relate to what we're working on here. For example, reciprocity. I'll be talking about that. So the ones that I'm not addressing have to do with trust, and just pure trust, not trust in the domain of receptivity. I will address those. So there were questions about how to start trusting everyone again, including family and friends, and how to bring safety in relationships so you can be receptive. These are all things that have to do with trust. And so Tyler is going to repost or point you to 3 different things I've done on trust. One was less than 6 months ago called In Building Trust. Another was called How to Build Trust in Your Relationships. And another is How to Tell if He's Trustworthy. Can you tell we have some things going on about trust? Of course we do. Of course we do. We all do. We all do. If someone says, oh, I don't have trust issues, let's talk about it for a while, and then you'll find out what they are. We all do. It's part of being human. It's part of being on this planet, for sure. I mean, my dog, you could say, has trust issues. He approaches people cautiously. And so I'm referring you to 3 other times I talked about it, over an hour's worth of information on trust. And I don't mean to be redundant, but sometimes I have to be, because there's some things that are really hard to get how they work. And trust is definitely one of them, because as human beings, we want to just have blanket trust. So that's what I'm not going to be talking about. So let's talk about what we are talking about. So first, as I said, why do I call it critical receptivity? Not because I'm suggesting it should contain criticism. Some people, and it hurts. Some people will actually act like they're graciously receiving, and it has a huge chunk of criticism in it. One that I observed many times growing up. I don't know how often it happens now, but they were women of my mother's age that would say, "Oh, finally, a gentleman." Like that was a big sign of appreciation. "Oh, thank you. It's so refreshing to meet a gentleman." That has a criticism inside of it, because the rest of your kind, the rest of your gender are slugs, are jerks, are fill in the blank. It's contained within it. That is not what I mean by critical receptivity. The words that apply, the definitions, is right out of dictionary.com. The definitions that apply to what I mean is of the nature of a crisis threatening a seriously bad outcome, of decisive importance with respect to the outcome, essential, indispensable, essential receptivity, indispensable receptivity. That's what I mean. Receptivity is critical. And there are certain things that it is absolutely necessary to be receptive to, or bad things happen. So let me tell you how it works, okay? So it all starts with attraction. And I've talked about attraction before, and maybe Tyler can rustle up some of the ones that have to do with it. But in the book called Making Sense of Men, which you can get at AlisonArmstrong.com, or you can get it on Amazon. It doesn't have an audiobook. It's the only nonfiction written book that I have ever published. It's called Making Sense of Men, A Woman's Guide to a Lifetime of Love, Care, and Attention from All Men. And I take my words very seriously, and I mean it. So Making Sense of Men distinguishes two very different types of attraction and how men relate to it and how men describe it. And when a man is only, I'm not going to say merely, because it has a huge effect, when he's only physically attracted. And what do I mean by physically attracted? Does that mean, oh, he thinks you have a great body? No. What men mean by, oh, it's only physical, is that the only part of them that is attracted is their body. This is so important to understand, because receptivity is not involved in that kind of attraction. Receptivity is not necessary, let alone critical, for that kind of attraction. So when a man is only physically attracted, that means that all the rest of him is left out. All the rest of him literally hasn't been called out, hasn't been evoked or inspired or touched, if you will. Just physical attraction. And what that does is it can cause what I call a take reaction. So when a man is just physically attracted, he's going to relate to another human being, object to object. His body is an object. The other person's body is an object. This is just about being things. This is just objects. It's primitive. It's primitive, and it's all about the survival of the species. It's all about procreation. It's all just about sex, which ultimately comes down to survival of the species. So when a man is just physically attracted, and I'm going to say the same is true for women, when a woman is just like, oh my gosh, she's so hot, the chemistry's off the charts. She's going to be very similar. Notice it in yourself. If you're a woman, that what it does is it really just evokes a take reaction. You just want to take it. It's like you're hungry and the refrigerator's open. You just want to take it. It's not a bad thing. It doesn't make anybody a bad person. It's a normal reaction when just the physical has been appealed to. Now, we talk more about this in Are You Dating in the Dark? If you want just a little smidgen of it, or you can buy the whole series of Are You Dating in the Dark and Dating Distinctions. If you want to know more about that, it's important to know about, especially if you're interacting as a single wanting to couple. Now, when you embody the qualities that make a woman the most attractive, emotionally, intellectually, even spiritually, completely different kind of attraction. In my generation and older, they called it being charmed and enchanted, or they described someone as charming or someone enchanting. In generations that have followed, you can hear men say, she's special. There's something special about her. She's really special. That means something else has happened. And that something else causes men to want to give rather than take. They want to give. They're compelled to give. Both human beings are natural providers, and men even more so. The desire to provide is huge. And finding someone that inspires them to provide, that has them want to provide, to be compelled to provide. So the desire to give, as opposed to the compulsion to take, this is of critical importance in all relationships for the length of the relationship. So the qualities that cause a man to want to give are as important in a 30-year marriage, are as important as a mother with a son, as important as in dating if what you want is a partner in a long-term relationships. So it's elaborated upon in Making Sense of Men, but I don't want to just cause you unnecessary anguish. The top 4 qualities in this order are self-confidence, authenticity, passion, and then those 3, self-confidence, authenticity, and passion, cause the desire to give. And then the 4th quality that makes a woman the most attractive is receptivity. And why is because the others make a man want to give. And just think about it. Think about being around someone that you think is so special. They could be a man, they could be a woman, they could be a young person, they could be an old person, right? Nothing romantic involved, but there's something about them that has you just so want to give to that person. And think of a time when it's been like that and they wouldn't let you. They wouldn't let you give. You needed to give and they wouldn't let you give. This is why I've been saying a lot lately that fulfilling relationships depend as much on what you get to give as in what you get in return, or what you get, period. So just if you can tap into that pain, it'll help illuminate one of the questions, which was, what does it feel like to men for a woman to be receptive? And what it feels like for a woman to not be receptive is anywhere from to ouch to it can be crushing. It can be crushing for a woman to not be receptive. And I'll tell you what to be receptive to. but it's starting with understanding that to care, for a man to care about you, which is what this kind of attraction causes, a man to care and want to give, is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, expenditure of energy, and involves the most risk of anything he does. Men are naturally aware of and paying attention to the cost of caring, how much energy that takes, how much attention that takes to care. And often men, when they can't connect with someone who will receive from them, they just want to not care. But please let me not care about that person anymore, so I can be set free, because they're never going to let me give what I have to give. So this is why I'm calling it critical. If a woman isn't receptive, it can turn someone like who'd be totally for you into someone who's avoiding you, into someone who might even be so hurt that they disparage you. So am I saying you have to receive everything men want to give to you? No. I will talk about that as well. It's critical receptivity. It's critical to be receptive, but I'm going to encourage you to be discriminating. You still get to be discriminating. This isn't about it just wide open, okay, I'll receive whatever you want to give to me. No, don't do that. And this is a whole important part of being receptive, and it's the back of the hand, right? So receptive would be to let in, right? You're letting it in. Come on in, come on in. The back of the hand is no, 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 thank you. And mostly we're really with our boundaries, instead of we can be gracious with our boundaries. And we don't have to completely reject a human being in order to not accept something they want to give us. Maybe I should say that again. We don't have to reject a human being in order to not receive what he or she may want to give us. I'll say more about that. Okay, I'm checking my notes because I want to make sure I'm giving you what I really want to give you. Yes, bad things happen, bad outcomes. The impulse and inspiration to give that is caused by a woman being self-confident, passionate, authentic, and passionate in that order, causes the need to give, which causes receptivity to be the fourth most attractive quality. It's necessary, it's critical. You have the other three and you don't have receptivity. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I pictured whales beached, pictured fish flopping around on the sand, not getting it all what they need to thrive. Okay, so we did that part. So I don't mean, in case you're arriving later, I don't mean critical as in containing criticism. I do not mean that. I mean as in urgent, threatening a seriously bad outcome, including you could turn a man into an enemy. Yeah, we can do that. They can be hurt so badly by our lack of receptivity. They can want to not care. Just don't care, not care at all. Which, as one man said, it's the worst thing you can do to a man is make him not care. All right, so I do encourage discriminating receptivity. So what that means is you get to choose. You get to choose what you let in and what you don't let in. Now, this means you have to be awake and aware, because most of our not being receptive is a knee-jerk reaction. And it's either from fear or for insufficient information or from projecting things onto it. So I'm going to talk about one of those things that we project onto someone trying to give to us that has us be afraid to receive. So I'll talk about that. If you want to know what it is, it's reciprocity. We're afraid of reciprocity, that we're going to have to reciprocate. And I'm going to say more about that in a second. Okay, I already did that part. Yay. So freedom means the power to choose, which is why so much, if not all of my work, is about causing awareness so that we have the power to choose something other than our instinctual responses, which are always going to cause downward spirals. Honestly, if we're not consciously choosing, downward spirals into the sewer are inevitable. We literally have to be awake and aware and consciously choosing if we're ever going to have upward spirals. It's the only way that it works. And I'm sorry that it's that way. I've spent 30 plus years observing this, and I assert it is that way, in fact. So let's talk about this other thing. Okay, so these are specific questions that some of you provided. One is, what are practical ways to be receptive? So this is what I said that I would address, what to be receptive to, and then how you can express it. So one is, this isn't just exclusive to men. And women tend to be more closed off to receiving from men. And so I'm going to speak about it that way. So one thing to be receptive to start with is who he is as a human being. So thinking he's a man, he's just a man. We're already downgrading, even when we think of ourselves as women. Gender is awesome to understand, but human being is much bigger. And so who is this person as a human being? Be receptive to who they are, which means that you're being sensitive to what matters to them, because what matters to them is an expression of their character, of their values, of their self, of who they are, that they are. So receptivity, a big element of receptivity is being willing to see someone, being willing to hear someone. Okay, those things matter. Another thing to be receptive to is what he is offering. So what are he offering? And I'm going to say this exactly like I wrote it down because it's so important. What he is offering in response to his perceptions of what you need, what might delight you, what might help you, and what might make you happy. So I specifically say in response to his perceptions. So when a man offers you something and you wonder, why is he offering me that? And you think like he's stupid or a jerk to offer you that, I would invite you to press pause on that reaction and get curious. Well, thank you for offering that. And can you tell me why? What is having you offer that to me? And then put the imaginary duct tape over your mouth. Some of us need real duct tape. Don't do gorilla tape, though. That would be very bad. I was interacting with some of that last week, and my goodness, it's sticky. And sorry, diffuse awareness moment there. So, but just whatever you got to do to bite your tongue and give him a chance to think about it. He may not even have noticed what he was responding to. Give him a chance to notice, give him a chance to articulate it, give him a chance to get the words out without interruption. And you may learn a lot. You may learn how perceptive he is, that you weren't aware of needing that. You may learn how you present yourself, that you don't mean to present yourself. That, why do men keep offering this? Maybe they're responding to you. You do this and they offer that. Ooh, okay. Lot to be learned there. And so because they care, they're wanting to help, they're wanting to make your life better, they're wanting to protect you, they're wanting to contribute to you and enhance in some way, even if it's just for a moment, like opening a door. So there's all kinds of what's, and it will be in response to their perceptions of what you need, how they can help you, how they can delight you, and what might even make you happy. And another thing that we need to be receptive to is, and I started to get at this, but I want to underline it, is the value of him caring about you. Just think about what the world is like and can be like. It can be really hard out there. And this is why Making Sense of Men, the subtitle is Woman's Guide to a Lifetime of Caring, right? A lifetime of attention from all men, of like love, care, and attention. You really can't have too much love, care, and attention. Well-intended love, care, and attention. And if we just depend on one man to care about us, that's never going to make us feel safe enough. And that's one part of being receptive, is feeling safe. I'll talk about the other side. All right, but I'm on the practical ways to be receptive. So the next part would be how to express receptivity. Okay, now we go into this in length in our Being Extraordinary as a Woman course and our Being Extraordinary as a Man course, because men need to also expand their ability to receive. And what's more natural for them, and not bad, what's more natural is to take, to give and to take. That seems like the pairing, to give and to take. In partnership, in upward spirals, it's to give and to receive. And it's even harder for men to receive than for women to receive in general. It's something they have to learn. It's something they have to practice. And my late husband, Greg, thanked me for tricking him into receiving. So we discussed those at length in those graduate level courses on our website and our online curriculum. But for now, what I want to tell you is to express receptivity, the first thing you got to do is notice details. You got to break for details. You got to pay attention. If a man offers to take you out to lunch and you accept and you're thanking him for it, notice details about the lunch, about the environment, about his company, about even the difference it did or will make. I was so hungry. It could be that simple. Oh my gosh, you brought me an Honeycrisp apple. I was so hungry and it fixed it. You did that. Thank you. It can be that simple, right? And you can also notice where he's coming from. So what's being given, notice details about that. What's the impact it's going to have? Because that's why men do everything, is for impact. And notice where it's coming from. Like, oh man, thanks for remembering what a day I had at work today and I probably forget to eat. Thank you for how you pay attention to me that way. Thank you for caring. That's where he's coming from. He's caring. Thank you for the apple. Thank you for your timing. And thank you for caring. That's how you express receptivity. But you can't just say those words. You can't just rattle them off. You have to feel appreciation. Appreciation is a feeling, and it's part of receptivity. And if you're not feeling it, don't say these words. men hate pretense. They, as much as they love authenticity, they hate inauthenticity. And they're so sensitive to both. So don't even bother. Don't even bother. So what do you do if you're not going to bother doing that? Be honest. Be honest and see what you can let in. Thank you for knowing I would be hungry. Thank you for caring. Thank you for paying attention to how busy I am. And I wish I could accept that apple, but my stomach is just heaving at the idea of it. I don't know why, but I love that you thought of me. I love that you care, and I love that you brought it. And can I watch you eat it? You don't have to accept everything, but accept what you can. If you can accept the caring and receive that, if you can accept the intention, the goodwill, the intended outcome, receive that. Now, in being extraordinary as a woman and as a man, we teach the other side of that. How do you accept some and have boundaries for others? I gave you one simple example. It can get much more elaborate in that, and we do elaborate in those courses, and I'm not going to try to do that here. Okay. So here's some other questions that you all asked, and I want to provide some more information. So one was, how can we better engage with what others are offering while navigating the feelings of being vulnerable, scared or unsure what will happen if we do receive what is being offered? Okay, and how do you expand your ability to receive? And how do you gratefully receive something when you feel uncomfortable about the cost of what is being given to you and the instinct/experience of not being able to reciprocate at that level? Okay, so there's two different things here. So one is scared or unsure of what will happen if you do receive what is being offered. So this is also in the area of reciprocity, or what are they going to expect of me? And this is why women fear receiving. They're paying attention to whether or not they've already earned what's being received. Do I deserve that? That's, to deserve is to have earned, right? So if I receive something, if I let someone give me something I haven't earned yet, most women expect that the person will expect you to earn it. Now you owe me. And we don't want to create that obligation. So much of our just flat no's, no thank you, no, I don't need that, I can do that myself, is to prevent obligation. Related to obligation is reciprocity. And reciprocity is largely a female concept. It drives women, especially precise reciprocity. And this confuses everything, because for men, how you appreciate something that someone has given you is you use it. That's how they show appreciation. They show appreciation for your advice by using it. That's how they show how much they value it, which appreciation and value are closely related. So you can tell he appreciated the sandwich because he ate it. That he appreciated how you learned to listen longer from listening to the Queen's Code or doing the Understanding Men course. And you learned how to listen longer. And so you're listening longer. And he's talking and talking and talking. Well, as a woman, we would pay attention to the time and think, okay, he talked for an hour. Now it's his job to listen for an hour. No, they don't think that. They're all enlivened by getting to talk to you for so long. They're inspired. They're going to go out and hunt something down. They're going to go out and produce something, make something. They're going to use that energy to have an impact. It does not occur to them to take turns. And you listen to me now. I'm going to listen to you for the exact amount of time. That is, you could call a girly thing. I made you lunch. You made me lunch. I took you out to lunch. You can make me lunch. That's might be even considered better than taking me out. But if I went to all the trouble to make you a very special lunch and then you just take me out for a bite to eat, no, that's not going to equal. That's girly stuff. Precise reciprocity. So beware of that concern, because what you could say what completes giving, what makes giving whole, is not giving back. It's receiving the gift, appreciating the gift, using the gift, even sharing how you've used the gift. And I would tell you that timing matters. That's another part of the word critical receptivity. Timing matters. And it's never too late. Meaning, I thanked my father when I was in my 30s for the bike he got me when I was 10 with the rainbow streamers off the handlebars. That as a 10-year-old, I didn't know to express how delighted I was by that, and how hard he hunted for it, which I didn't know till years later. So you can appreciate something that someone's given you before if you're now becoming aware of how well you did not receive something. You can still do it, but it's better to do it. It's better to do it then. It's better to do it not, don't interrupt them giving to you to receive from them. Let them finish the presentation of whatever they're offering and then receive. And that's what will complete it. You valuing what he gave you in a way that equals what it took for him to give that to you. That's what completes it. By the way, something else you might want to check out on our website under Shop Products, which is where we have all the one-off things that you don't have to have any prerequisites for. Whereas in our curriculum, you do. You have to do them in certain orders or you can't go on. So, but one of the things you'd find there is loving more by sacrificing less. And this is for men and for women. And it teaches something called the Great Give, where you make sure that what you want to give will be valued so that you don't spend all that time, energy, and resources and then look to get appreciated. And they can't appreciate it because they didn't want it. And if you'd ask them ahead of time, would you welcome this? This is a recommendation for men and women. There's something I feel compelled to give to you. Would you welcome that, or is there something else that you would value more? That's a kind of respect I wish would go viral, because we practically force things on people and then are demanding the appreciation we think we deserve. And pretty much only teenagers are honest enough to say, if you'd asked me, I would have told you not to do it. It's a great place to start. Okay, then the other part I want to talk about has specifically related to trust and receptivity. Okay, so there are a couple of questions. How to be receptive when I'm scared to trust? How to be open to it when we've been so hurt that we can't trust anyone. So besides all the things that we're gonna point you to that I've already recorded on trust, directly related to receptivity, this is the thing. It's more important in being receptive. It's more important that you trust yourself than you trust the other person. I'm not kidding. In order to expand your ability to receive, it's more important to trust yourself than to trust the other person. What do I mean by trust yourself? I mean, you start with creating clarity. This is for men and women. It's for everybody. You can't be too young to start working on this. So starting by What do you need to never happen? What do you need to not happen? Like, no, that's a deal breaker. I can't, I won't have that in my life. I've even put up with it in my life, but not anymore. That's got to stop. That can't happen. Those are the places you put boundaries. Those are your boundaries. And where you set your boundaries, what someone can't give to you, say to you, have you accept from them under any circumstances, those are where your boundaries lie. And the clarity about where they lie is part of the trust in yourself. And then the other part of the trust is that you have demonstrated to yourself that you will in fact hold that boundary. That when that thing that is unacceptable to you shows up, you say no. You say stop. You say you hang up the phone if you have to. If that's how you set the boundary and hold the boundaries, you hang up the phone. I had to agree with my husband. I can hang up the phone. I would not accept his self-deprecating. When he started talking about himself as if he was less than Superman, less than great, less than amazing, I'd just say, now you're lying. And I'd hang up. And we actually had an agreement that I could do that. I did not have to put up with that. So, and I didn't put up with it. So as you figure out where your boundaries are, and then you prove to yourself that when it shows up, you actually, whoop, goes right up. You're not walking around the world like this, like, oh no, hope that doesn't happen. Hope that doesn't happen. Is that maybe happening? Is that kind of that? Is that kind of this? I don't know. That's called being on guard. And being on guard is the opposite of receptivity. It's the enemy of receptivity. It will prevent receptivity, being on guard. But being not on guard does not mean not having boundaries. It's just more like having, I don't know if you've ever seen it, like the kind that get tripped and instantly pop up out of the ground. I've only seen it in movies, and there was an airport once with a rental car thing. That was scary. But think of yourself like that. What if you had an infinite ability to hold your boundaries when necessary, and you know where they are? You know where they're going to pop up from the ground, and you just wait for them to be triggered, or you just respond when you don't even wait for them to be triggered. You respond when they're triggered instead of always being on guard about them. So that is actually the key to receptivity. And I discovered this by becoming single when my husband died. And then after a while deciding I did want to be involved romantically with men, and then having to figure out what was okay and not okay that I hadn't had to deal with for 3 decades. Had to start articulating it, and then had to have zero tolerance for it. And I don't mean zero like mean. I mean zero like consistent. It's not, okay, I'll let you do that 3 times. No, I won't let you do it at all. The things I won't let you do, I will not let you do. From the very beginning, stop. Stop right there. And there's lots of ways to do it and lots of ways to say it. And we have so many things we teach about boundaries. Own your ultimatums. Own your ultimatums would be a place to go under shop products. And as you build trust in yourself and that you won't betray yourself by betraying your boundaries, then receptivity naturally expands. You don't even have to decide what to become receptive to. You can have intention. You can be calling in if you like. Absolutely, go for it. But you don't necessarily have to identify it. You just know where your boundaries are, and now you're open. And you can think of it any way you want, that you're open to the generosity of good people, which is most people, that you're open to the gifts of a benevolent universe. That's the way I often think of it. however you want to think of it. But receptivity literally goes beyond one-on-one interactions. You can be being receptive. You can be sitting in a train station being receptive, knowing that if a boundary is necessary, you have instant access to it. And being receptive, it's actually powerful being receptive. You have to be aware to be receptive. And someone that you might be afraid of that's looking for a victim, they are not looking for someone who's aware. They're looking for someone who's clueless or defensive. So by being aware, being receptive, they go together. You have to be aware to be receptive. And then there's things that, no, not that part. Yes to this, no to that. And that's how good you can get at it. And have people be glad that they offered, because of that who they are was honored and received, that their good intentions were honored and received, their care was honored and received. Even if what they're offering, you're like, no, I don't want that. I'm specifically not having that in my life right now. And thank you for all the rest. You can do that. Now, does it take practice? Yes. Does it ever not take practice? I would say no, it never doesn't take practice. I started working on my ability to receive shortly after I started studying men, because I was overwhelmed by how much they wanted to give me after I stopped attacking them. And as I expanded my ability to receive, and I'd say as I've been expanding my ability to receive for over 30 years, men still outdistance me. They still outgive. They still challenge my ability to receive. I have to keep expanding, because their ability to give, their desire to give and to provide is spectacular. So does it ever get really comfortable? I would say no, it doesn't get comfortable. You have to be awake and aware, and there's like a kind of thing that goes with it, but it's so worth working on. I would say I owe my life to it. I thank Dan on a regular basis. I thanked Greg on a regular basis. Thank you for my life, because there's so much that they've given me. And what Greg would always thank me was for letting him give it to me. Dan always says, "You're welcome." All right. I think that is, yeah. I'm going to read this to you in case you need it concisely. The better your boundaries, the loyalty you've proven to yourself about holding them, the more you can be receptive. In other words, when you know you can generate and defend a boundary at a moment's notice, you don't have to be on guard. When you trust yourself, you can give a man, men, other people, you can give other people time to earn your trust. Instead of them having to earn your trust in order to give to you, no. Build trust in yourself, and then you can give them time to earn your trust, and you can be receptive to them meanwhile. Because if you stop being receptive, they stop giving. Okay, so there's a couple other questions here. Why do some men reject providing and say that they want to go 50-50 with women? I'm not sure they're rejecting providing. They may be declining to provide that. They may be providing something else. But often because it's taken for granted, it's expected, it's not received, it's not appreciated. Let's go Dutch. And it can be very expensive to date. And there are plenty of women, and I've encountered some, who actually just use men for free meals. And they're so much more sensitive than we think. So yeah, that's why some men would just opt out of it. How does receptivity feel to men? How do they perceive it? I know I said a bit about this before. It feels like openness. It feels like space. It feels like appreciation. It feels like they can win at providing. Okay, have to check one thing really quick because I just had a bad feeling. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness I was wrong. I had a thought, am I supposed to be somewhere else right now? Because I often schedule things this time of night. I don't have to be somewhere else. So let me see if there's anything else I want to wrap up. Okay, these are things I'm not going to talk about here because they're addressed well other places, and I encourage you to go there. So how to be receptive when feeling frustrated and disappointed by dating. Thank you for the question. I would send you to Dating with Distinctions. And you can get it as a package for $95, and it includes dating in the dark, which is that physical attraction thing I was talking about at the beginning. How do we share a desire with our man in a way that supports him being inspired versus feeling shamed? And another one related to that, I want him to open doors for me, little considerate things. I really enjoy them. How to encourage that. So that whole domain of what we need from somebody, what would make us happy from somebody, how do you communicate that? How do you follow it up with the appreciation that's going to have it keep happening? We teach that in the Queen's Code, which I strongly recommend the audiobook over the ebook, because I will read to you and I watch the movie. I am recreating those characters and the emotions that they're experiencing and the intensity and the passion they have about what they're saying. So the Queen's Code audiobook, which is available at AlisonArmstrong.com, and not anywhere else. And also the Understanding Men online course is another place that we teach how do you support a man in giving you what you need. So I would send you there. Okay, we did it. I'm so excited we did it. It took longer than I expected I would. I usually try to keep these to 45 minutes or less, but I did not. Amira and Kayla and Julia, thanks for being here with me on Zoom. Whenever we have Instagram Live, we record it on Zoom, and you're welcome to join me here. Tyler always puts the link up. And thank you for the smiley faces. Julia, that kind of looks like you. Big smile. All right. Thank you, Tyler, for making this all work. Good night to everybody and good day. And boundaries don't get comfortable either. Neither side of receiving or boundaries gets comfortable, but it's one of the best things you can engage in. And I would say forever. I'm never going to stop. Okay. Bye.